Hey guys, welcome back. As I promised, I'm here today with another video for Introduction to African Philosophy Part 2. So if you haven't subscribed guys, please do subscribe for more videos. So let's begin with question number 1. Which academic department at Unisa offers the module Introduction to African Philosophy? Number 1, African History Department. Number 2, Department of Jurisprudence. Number 3, African Philosophy. Number 4, Philosophy, Practical and Systematic Theology Department. So guys, the correct answer is number 4, which is Philosophy, Practical and Systematic Theology Department. So let me highlight the answer for you guys. Let's go to question number 2. What is the name of the tutorial letter that contains information about your assignments? Number 1, tutorial letter 501. Number 2, tutorial letter 301. Number 3, tutorial letter 101. Number 4, tutorial letter 201. So guys, the correct answer here is number 3, which is tutorial letter 101. Question number 3. In the study guide, it is stated that the question, can there be an African philosophy, is an ontologically rather than an empirical question. This implies that, number 1, the question is affirming the existence of African philosophy. Number 2, the questionnaire prefers the study of ontology to African philosophy. Number 3, the questionnaire is proposing the destruction of African philosophy. Number 4, the questionnaire doubts if African have a rational capacity to do philosophy. So guys, here the correct answer is number 4, which is the questionnaire doubts if African have a rational capacity to do philosophy. Let's go to question number 4. How many factors does Osungwu identify for consideration in the definition of an African philosopher? Number 1, 4. Number 2, 2. Number 3, 5. Number 4, 6. So here guys, the correct answer is number 1, which is 4. Question number 5. Ali Mazrui distinguishes between African of the blood of the soil. He then defines the former group in terms of, number 1, geographical terms. Number 2, educational categories. Number 3, racial and geological terms. Number 4, none of the above. So guys, here the correct answer is number 3, which is racial and geological terms. Question 6. The term African is in this module is deconstructed as it describes the following. Number 1, the cultural life of the people of the continent. Number 2, climatic conditions of the continent rather than the people themselves. Number 3, the mineral resources of the people of the continent. Number 4, the landscape of the African continent. So guys, here the correct answer is number 2, which is climatic conditions of the continent rather than the people themselves. Let's go to question number 7. The etymology of the term philosophy refers to, number 1, the love of education. Number 2, the love of money. Number 3, the love of practical ideas. Number 4, the love of wisdom. So guys, here the correct answer is number 4, which is the love of wisdom. Question number 8. In the explication of the term African philosophy, Osungwu considers the adjective African as, number 1, the common denominator among philosophies of the world. Number 2, the localization of particularizing factor of philosophy. Number 3, the critical factor of all philosophies. Number 4, none of the above. So guys, here the correct answer is number 2, which is the localization or particularizing factor of philosophy. Question 9. According to Imbo, different philosophies such as Western, Chinese, and Indian arise because of number 1, different experiences of the world by different people. Number 2, different educational backgrounds among people. Number 3, different IQs among different people. Number 4, different climatic conditions in different parts of the world. So guys, the correct answer is number 1, which is different experiences of the world by different people. Question 10. Postmodernism, as argued by Imbo, represents number 1, a narrow thinking of philosophy. Number 2, bold stance against African philosophy. Number 3, a vacuum philosophy which criticizes everything. Number 4, a voice calling rather for an inclusive approach that allows the different experiences of humanity to construct complementary narratives. So here guys, the correct answer is number 4, which is a voice calling rather for an inclusive approach that allows the different experiences of humanity to construct complementary narratives. Let's go to question number 11. For Imbo, one of the challenges of postmodernism to mainstream philosophy is number 1, the Western philosophy does not exist. Number 2, the African philosophy exists. Number 3, the presupposition that there is one reality that is accessible to any impartial observer. Number 4, that there is only one civilization. So here guys, the correct answer is number 1, which is the presupposition that there is one reality that is accessible to any impartial observer. Question 12. According to Pauline Hotonji and Tesei Seriku Badan, the affirmation of African philosophy requires the existence of number 1, oral tradition alone. Number 2, written text alone. Number 3, both oral and literal tradition. Number 4, none of the above. So guys, here the correct answer is number 2, which is written text alone. Question 13. Biakolo's categories of cross-cultural cognition are about number 1, cultural exchange between Westerners and Africans. Number 2, the categorical imperatives of African culture. Number 3, culture philosophy of some African countries. Number 4, how the Western world thought about the other in general and the African in particular. So guys, the correct answer is number 4, how the Western world thought about the other in general and the African in particular. Question 14. One of the misconceptions uncovered by Biakolo in his analysis of the 5 cross-cultural analyses is that number 1, African people are truly scientific, logical, and conception in their view of reality. Number 2, for Africa to develop the path it must tread involve abandoning an oral magical pre-logical past and gradually assimilating a written logical scientific culture of the West. Number 3, African people must embrace their cultural heritage and develop in further to greater heights. Number 4, none of the above. So guys, here the correct answer is number 2, which is for Africa to develop the path in must trend involves abandoning an oral magical pre-logical past and gradual assimilating a written logical scientific culture of the West. Let's go to question number 15. According to Biakolo, the cross-cultural categories discussed: number 1, contributing significantly toward understanding the African condition. Number 2, help stop the exploitation of African people. Number 3, help us to understand Africans' past. Number 4, mainly serve to repeat the outdated myth of African as the white man's burden. So guys, here the correct answer is number 4, mainly serve to repeat the outdated myth of African as the white man's burden. Let's go to question number 16. In his essay, The Struggle for Reason in Africa, Ramos expresses among others, number 1, the need for Africans to revenge themselves against the colonizers. Number 2, the need to Africans to protect themselves against the colonizers. Number 3, the need for Africans to engage the mimesis of Western discourses. Number 4, the need for Africans to construct an authentic and truly African discourse about Africa so as to break the silence imposed on them. So guys, here the correct answer is number 4, which is the need for Africans to construct an authentic and truly African discourses about Africa so as to break the silence imposed on them. Question number 17. Ramos in the same essay equally criticizes his fellow Africans for, number 1, writing poor discourses on the evolution of Africa. Number 2, reducing themselves into being passive as well as uncritical assimilators coupled with faithful implementation of knowledge produced from outside Africa. Number 2, cooperation with colonizers in the underdevelopment of Africa. Number 4, not taking education seriously. So here guys, the correct answer is number 2, which is reducing themselves into being passive as well as uncritical assimilators coupled with faithful implications of knowledge produced from outside Africa. Question 18. In the struggle for reason in Africa, Ramos is critical of colonizers for, number 1, making it difficult for number 2, initiating the process of decolonization in Africa. Number 3, assisting Africans to construct their own discourses about Africa. Number 4, claiming to be the sole producers of knowledge, the only holders of the truth. So here guys, the correct answer is number 4, which is claiming to be the sole producers of all knowledge, the only holders of the truth. Question 19. Implied in Aristotle's statement that man is a rational animal lies, according to Ramos, number 1, a subtly racism and sexism. Number 2, a great philosophy of man. Number 3, an understanding of the century. Number 4, none of the above. So here guys, the correct answer is number 1, which is a subtly racism and sexism. Let's go to question number 20. How many study units are in this module? Number 1, 4. Number 2, 2. Number 3, 5. Number 4, 6. So here guys, the correct answer is number 3, which is 5. Question 21. Please identify the more correct statement when writing a philosophical essay. You should, number 1, copy information from the relevant Wikipedia articles. Number 2, only summarize the content as provided in the material. Number 3, use information without acknowledging its sources. Number 4, argue for or against a particular position. So here guys, the correct answer is number 4, which is argue for or against a particular position. Question 22. How long should an essay be that you write for PLS1502, Introduction to African Philosophy? Number 1, 1000 words. Number 2, 500 words. Number 3, 750 words. Number 4, 350 words. So here guys, the correct answer is number 3, which is 750 words. Question 23. The body of your essay needs to comprise of well-written constructed number 1 informal sentences, number 2 poorly sentences, number 3 logical paragraph, number 4 logical reference list. So here guys, the correct answer is number 3, which is logical paragraphs. Question 24. Which one of the following statements about an academic essay is the most accurate? Number 1, you should use the Chicago method of referencing. Number 2, your body should be one long paragraph. Number 3, your essay should comprise of bullet points. Number 4, the introduction should provide an overview of the essay. So here guys, the correct answer is number 4, which is the introduction should provide an overview of the essay. Question 25. Complete this question. Plagiarism is when you, number 1, only provide a reference list at the end of your essay to indicate which sources you have consulted. Number 2, use someone else's ideas as if they were your own and not providing adequate referencing. Number 4, rewrite your essay to improve the quality thereof before submission. Number 4, use someone else's ideas but provide an adequate in-text citation and reference list to give credit to them. So guys, here the correct answer is number 2, which is use someone else's ideas as if they were your own and not providing adequate referencing. Question 26. When writing an essay for Please Introduction to African Philosophy, the dash is used. Number 1, Chicago method of referencing. Number 2, Oxford method of referencing. Number 3, Harvard method of referencing. Number 4, American Psychological Association method of referencing. So guys, here the correct answer is number 3, which is Harvard method of referencing. Question 27. Which one of the following statements about the conclusion of an academic essay is the most accurate? Number 1, you should not introduce new information in the conclusion. Number 2, you need to provide an overview of what you have done. Number 3, you need to indicate why the topic is important. Number 4, you do not always need to write a conclusion. So guys, here the correct answer is number 1, which is you should not introduce new information in the conclusion. Question 28. Which one of the following statements does not reflect the character of a paragraph in an academic essay? Number 1, every paragraph should deal with one point. Number 2, a paragraph should have more than one point. Number 3, a paragraph needs to be logical constructed. Number 4, paragraph should follow on one and another. So here guys, the correct answer is number 2, which is a paragraph should have more than one point. Question 29. Choose the correct answer. What is the name of this module? Number 1, Introduction to Western Philosophy. Number 2, Introduction to African Philosophy. Number 3, Australianism Philosophy. Number 4, African Philosophy. So guys, here the correct answer is number 2, which is Introduction to African Philosophy. Question 30. Which discipline at Unisa offers this module? Number 1, philosophy discipline. Number 2, theological discipline. Number 3, history discipline. Number 4, practical theory discipline. So guys, here the correct answer is number 1, which is philosophy discipline. Question 31. The term Africa in this module is deconstructed as it describes the following. Number 1, the landscape of the African continent. Number 2, the cultural life of the people of the continent. Number 3, climatic conditions of the people of the continent. Number 4, the mineral resources of the people of the continent. So guys, here the correct answer is number 3, which is climatic conditions of the people of the continent. Now, question 32. The two African philosophers in this module who argue that the question of whether African philosophy exists or not is an ontologically rather than an empirical question are number 1, Ramos and Imbo, number 2, Geike and Bewachi, number 3, Biakolo and Oruka, number 4, none of the above. So here guys, the correct answer is number 1, which is Ramos and Imbo. Question 33. What structure does the idea academic essay follow? Number 1, a body, a conclusion, and a reference list. Number 2, an introduction, body, conclusion, and a reference list. Number 3, an introduction, a reference list, and a body. Number 4, conclusion and a reference list. So guys, here the correct answer is number 1. No, the correct answer is number 2, which is an introduction, body, conclusion, and reference list. Question 34. Which one of the elements are not essential to an introduction? Number 1, providing a context to the question. Number 2, a thesis statement. Number 3, a list of sources consulted. Number 4, a plan of the essay. So here guys, the correct answer is number 3, which is a list of sources consulted. Question 35. Fill in the missing words. Number 1, fill in the missing words. A, that explains the claim that you are defending in the paper. Number 1, conclusion. Number 2, reference list. Number 3, Harvard method. Number 4, thesis statement. So guys, the correct answer is number 4, which is thesis statement. Question 36. Which one of the following statements about an academic essay are not accurate? Number 1, an essay comprised of bullet points is acceptable. Number 2, your introduction should provide an overview of the essay. Number 3, you should use the Harvard method of referencing. Number 4, your body needs to comprise of well-written, logical, constructed paragraph. So guys, here the correct answer is number 1, which is an essay comprised of bullet points is acceptable. Question 37. What does it mean to respond to the topic? Number 1, you should just provide a summary of the reading without hearing the topic. Number 2, you should read the question carefully and make sure your essay adequate response to it. Number 3, you should include irrelevant information to reach the word limit. Number 4, you should let the creative process and detect the way that you construct the essay. So guys, here the correct answer is number 2. You should read the question carefully and make sure your essay adequate response to it. Question 38. Ramos' statement that discourses on African are dominated by non-Africans can mean the following. Number 1, that Africans are outspoken and on discourses on African philosophy. Number 2, that Europeans and Americans are dominating all discourses on Europe. Number 4, that African needs to study other discourses also. Number 4, the research on African studies is being led by people who are not African origin. So guys, here the correct answer is number 4, which is that research on African studies is being led by people who are not African origin. Question 39. The main point of Ramos in his work, The Struggle for Reason in Africa, is that number 1, Africans are people who cannot research. Number 2, Europeans are distinguished rational beings. Number 3, African Amerindians and Australasians are excluded in the category of being that process rationality. Number 4, all of the above. So guys, here the correct answer is number 4, which is Africans, Amerindians and Australasians are excluded in the category of being that process rationality. So guys, let's go to our last question, which is question number 40. Climatic may be regarded among others as number 1, a moderate or soft communication. Number 2, a radical communication. Number 3, a radical individualist. Number 4, none of the above. So guys, here the correct answer is number 1, which is a moderate or soft communication. So guys, we are done with the questions. Good luck with your exams, guys, and your course that you are doing.